Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here again, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. And we've got a couple of black Strats with maple necks, basically the same job on both guitars. So we have this Squire Strat for Paul, and I'm just bringing you in so you can see where we are with this compensated nut. So this is what we've got right now. So I've thicknessed the leg and got a nice press fit. Okay, this is our next step. I've scribed that radius for the underside of the ledge, and we're going to cut that down. Back to the guitar again to check this. That new sander definitely fast-tracked this job. So that's the Squire nut blank done, ready for slotting. So Paul's Squire Strat nut has been slotted. Same thing with Richard's American Strat. It's been slotted, blank is press fit. We're going to remove it and get on with the fretwork. One of my subscribers had recently asked, don't you straighten the neck before you do the fretwork? And of course the answer is yes, of course I do. I didn't happen to mention it in that video though. So just back that off. Let's try that again. And you know something? That's all it took. Thanks for asking that question, by the way. So the idea is to get the neck as straight as possible, and then I go over with a shorter straight edge and then check for any high spots. So there's one high spot right here. Now, of course, the other super important thing is the neck is supported along its length, so when you're pushing down on the file, the neck is not flexing. And even beyond that, the actual body is held firmly. So the body and the neck are both held simultaneously while I do this job to restrict any chance of deflection as I'm filing. No, I haven't masked off the fingerboard yet, but I will. I am good with that. Now it definitely needs to be masked off. You don't want that maple exposed when you're doing your recrowning and polishing. Now I am using a lower tack painter's tape so we don't pull any of that lacquer off. We are just getting ready for the final buff on Paul's the compensated nut blank is done, nice press fit. The frets are leveled, crowned, polished, all ready to go. I pulled the pick guard up to put some longer springs in the bridge pickup. There wasn't enough K value in those springs to actually pull the pickup down away from the strings. It was just kind of flopping around in the cavity. So I took the whole Strat harness and pick guard off, and lo and behold, this is the pivot post on the bass side of the bridge. So that is what we got to deal with. So that puts the brakes on for a bit on this job. Here we go. So this is the, oh God, this is what was in there. Well, you know something? We're not messing around with this. So that's what we got now. We'll put a solid maple 1-inch dowel in there. That's where we're going to start. I have this drill press on the foot switch as well. I'm going to cut this just a little proud. I've got this one on a foot switch as well. Set it spinning and just let it idle to a stop. I'm going to try and get this dead flush level with the top. We're just going to butter that up. The nice thing about this is the actual dowel. The post will end up being in the center of the maple dowel. So we're not really depending on any type of a wood joint to withstand the pressure. I'm just buttering the one side because it's maple, right? So it's not going to absorb anything. It's like marble. Okay, let's get that baby in there. Oh yeah. Yeah. So this is what we've got. We've completely filled that solid with a 1-inch maple dowel and then just flattened that 1 inch to conform with the cavity. Richard's bridge problems will be over forever. We'll let that set overnight. This is 24-hour epoxy, and then we'll come back and get the post in the right place and get on with the rest of this repair. Cheers. So I've determined the center to center distance, but before we drill out this dowel, there's a bunch of other reconnaissance that we need to do. So this is the fender part number for the chrome pivot pin that we have here and the one that we're using. But if you did want gold, it would be the same number with 200 on the end. And if you want black, it would be 300. I've located the center for the hole. So this close-up shows you how the threads of this fastener bite into the maple wall, and the actual cuff you need to countersink to allow enough room for that cuff to kind of move up and down. So I'm doing all my experiments with a maple dowel long before I drill those final holes in the body to accept those new fasteners. I scraped a little bit of paraffin wax onto the threads, and that moves up and down freely, good and tight, without any danger of splitting anything. So that's what we're going to go with, and that cuts into the maple perfectly. So I'll drill out this original hole first for the deeper depth of the replacement fastener. So now we're cutting the countersink for that cuff so that it moves up and down like a piston. And now we'll drill the deeper hole to take the wood threads of that fastener. I need to point out that the orientation of the wood grain, it goes from here to here. So because we have that aviation epoxy sealed on either side of the hole that we drilled to take that fastener, the chances of anything cracking from the force of the strings pulling this way have been greatly reduced because this surface here is adhered with that 24-hour Cure Aviation epoxy. Same with this. It greatly reduces the risk of this cracking again like it was earlier. So I just wanted to point that out. Grain orientation, very important. So for the little bit of dowel that's actually exposed, because this is end grain, even maple absorbs on the end grain. So just color that black. For the tiny little bit that is exposed, nobody had ever noticed in 100 years. So the structural integrity is 100% restored. Actually, it's a little bit stronger than it was when it left the factory with those deeper fasteners. So we'll just drop this in. So the vertical movement of this fastener is now just as smooth as a metal machine thread. No problem at all. We've got all the adjustment in the world, smooth as silk. Okay, I think we're good to go. I have a couple of hockey pucks stacked in between the rails of the body platform to hold the bridge in place while I've got it face down. Now this claw was cranked right to the max. He definitely wants to be able to dive with this thing. So this is being set up to dive only. It's 10 to 46 concert pitch. Okay. That's how I stack those hockey pucks underneath to hold the bridge in while we kind of set it in place. And now, of course, we've got all kinds of adjustment. This turns silky smooth. All right, let's tune it up. Well, both of the black Strats are done. So we'll bring both of them into the house, plug them in, I'll let you hear them in a minute. But before we do that, this is Paul's Squire Strat. I know there's been lots of different configurations of this way to sort of turn the tremolo Strat into a hardtail. Now that was the chunk of wood that was in there, and I think it was just through sheer frustration he couldn't tune the thing, and that's why he ended up bringing it to my door. He did create a bit of a scar there, but at least it's going to be underneath the plate. I just wanted to show you my take on this. So this is set up to dive only. And I know that Paul said he never uses the bar, and I get it, and I'm okay with that. So what I've got here is I've got a piece, nothing's glued, and the guitar is not altered in any way, shape, or form. So this piece of basswood basically fills that void and turns it into a hardtail guitar. But if at any time in the future, Paul, you decide you want to try the tremolo, well, you know something? You can just slip this thing out, and it's good to go exactly as it is. Don't touch a thing. So it works perfectly fine for dive only. We've got 4 springs in there, 10 to 46 concert pitch. But in the meantime, we're going to go hardtail, but it's completely reversible at any time. And that is it. So we're going to start with Richard's Strat, the American one that we did the rescue on the bridge. I'm going to play a chord progression and then just double it. So this is just a 1, 7, 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 progression in the key of D major. So first chord. And here's the second chord progression. Exact same chords, just different voicings and different positions. So I have layered and looped those two, and I'm just going to let them play through once, and then I'll blow over top and just flick the pickups around. So here we go. So this is the Squier Strat compensated nut, 10 to 46, same thing. This is a block tremolo, it's like a hardtail. So I'm just going to blow over the same progression, I'll let that play.